Welcome to Personal Injury Claims Explained by Foyle Legal, your trusted source for personal injury claims in Western Australia. Each week, we simplify complex legal issues, from motor vehicle accidents to workplace injuries, so you can confidently navigate your rights and secure the compensation you deserve.
Ever wonder what happens if you get hurt at work? Like really injured? Not just a paper cut, but something that actually, prevents you from working. We're talking about WorkCover WA today, workers' comp in Western Australia. We're diving deep into all the ins and outs with this comprehensive legal guide from Foyle Legal.
Okay.
They're a top-notch firm over in Perth, and they specialize in this stuff. So they've pretty much seen it all.
Right.
Whether you're starting a new job, or maybe you're just curious about your rights as an employee, or maybe you've had questions about WorkCover WA in the past, this is the episode for you.
Definitely.
We're going to break it all down, make it easy to understand so you can feel informed and confident.
Sounds good.
So first things first, what exactly is WorkCover WA?
So WorkCover WA, it's kind of like a safety net for employees. Imagine it as like a no-fault insurance program that's specifically designed for work-related injuries or illnesses.
Got it.
And that no-fault part is really important. It means you're generally covered, even if you accidentally cause the injury yourself.
Oh, wow.
No blame games.
That's a relief to hear. Because I think a lot of people, when they get hurt, their first thought is, oh no, am I going to get in trouble?
Yeah, absolutely.
But what does this safety net actually look like? What kind of things does WorkCover WA cover?
Well, it's actually designed to be pretty comprehensive.
Okay.
Think of the immediate things you'd need: medical expenses, lost wages. WorkCover WA steps in to help with all of that.
So we're not just talking a quick trip to the doctor here. This is the real deal. Hospital stays, specialists, maybe even surgery, right?
Exactly. And the guide really emphasizes that it's not just about covering those initial medical costs either. WorkCover WA also helps to replace your income while you're recovering. So they'll actually look at what you were earning before the injury and make sure you can at least keep things afloat financially while you're unable to work.
That's huge. I feel like it's easy to overlook that financial stress that comes with an injury.
Right.
Especially if you're unable to work because of it, right?
Absolutely. And this is really where that social safety net aspect comes in. WorkCover WA helps to make sure people aren't, falling into financial hardship just because they got hurt on the job. It's about supporting workers during what's already a difficult time.
Yeah, it's like having your back when you need it most. And it sounds like it goes beyond just the immediate aftermath too. What about the long-term effects of an injury?
This is where it gets even more interesting, actually. WorkCover WA also provides support for rehab and return to work programs.
Oh.
We're talking physiotherapy, occupational therapy, maybe even retraining for a new career if you can't go back to your old job. It's really about helping you regain your independence and get back on your feet, both literally and figuratively.
So it's not just about patching you up and sending you on your way.
Right.
They actually want to see you get back to a good place long term.
Exactly. Now, most people, when they think about WorkCover WA, they think about physical injuries, right?
Yeah.
But it's important to highlight that they cover mental health as well.
That's right. It's not just about broken bones and, sprained ankles. Work can really take a toll on your mental health too. So if you experience a psychological injury because of your job, like we're talking severe stress, anxiety, maybe even PTSD from some kind of traumatic work event, WorkCover WA actually recognizes those as legitimate grounds for support.
Absolutely. They understand that mental health is just as important as your physical health, and so they provide coverage for things like treatment and lost wages, just like they would with a physical injury.
This is where I think people might be surprised by just how much WorkCover WA actually covers, because the guide even mentions something called permanent impairment.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that means?
Sure. So permanent impairment basically refers to any long-term effects of an injury. Because it's not always a straightforward recovery where everything goes back to normal, right? So if you end up with a lasting disability from a work injury, something that affects your ability to function in the long run, you might be eligible for additional benefits.
Oh, okay. And what kind of benefits are we talking about in those cases?
Well, it can really vary depending on, how severe the impairment is, but it might involve things like a lump sum payment to help you kind of adjust to those changes in your life. It could be ongoing medical support or even assistance with adapting your home or your vehicle if needed.
Wow. Since they thought of everything.
They try to be really comprehensive.
Now, I'm guessing all this coverage comes with some specific requirements, right? Like it's not automatic that everyone qualifies for WorkCover WA.
You're right. There are eligibility requirements, and understanding those is really key. The most basic one, and this is a big one, is that you need to be classified as an employee, not an independent contractor.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit because I think that distinction can be confusing for some people.
Right.
What's the key difference there between an employee and an independent contractor when it comes to WorkCover WA?
Yeah, that's where things can get a little bit tricky. Employees are generally considered to be under the control of their employer.
Okay.
So they usually have set hours, they work at the employer's premises, they're provided with tools and equipment, that kind of thing.
Right.
Independent contractors, on the other hand, they've got a lot more autonomy. They typically set their own hours, they might work from their own locations, use their own tools.
So if you're an employee and you get hurt on the job, you're pretty much covered. But if you're an independent contractor, you're kind of on your own when it comes to insurance.
Generally, yeah. Independent contractors are often responsible for their own income protection, their own insurance. It's one of those trade-offs for having that extra control over, how they structure their work.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
But I can see how it could get kind of complicated, especially in certain industries.
absolutely. And the guide actually brings up a really good example that's very relevant here in WA FIFO workers.
Right. FIFO, for anyone who's not familiar, that stands for fly in, fly out. We're talking about workers who are flown to those more remote work sites, often for, pretty extended periods, to work in industries like mining or construction.
Exactly. And because of the nature of that work, FIFO workers often end up spending a huge chunk of their time on a work site, even when they're not technically on the clock.
Right.
So that line between work and personal time can get really blurry.
So say like a FIFO worker gets injured, at their accommodation on a remote work site, even if it's during their downtime, could that still be covered by WorkCover WA?
See, that's where those eligibility requirements and the specifics of the situation, they really come into play. The guide emphasizes that just because you're a FIFO worker doesn't mean you have any fewer rights,
Okay.
but it can get complicated, and seeking legal advice is often really crucial in those situations.
Yeah, it's like navigating a bit of a legal maze sometimes, especially with that added layer of remote work and these kind of unique industries.
Right.
So we've got this comprehensive guide, but it's almost like we need a whole new chapter to cover these upcoming changes.
It really highlights how much the legal landscape is constantly evolving. What's true today might be different tomorrow, which is why it's so important to stay informed.
And it highlights the importance of having resources like this guide from Foyle Legal, and even more so, being able to actually consult with legal experts who are up to date on all the latest developments.
Couldn't agree more. The guide does a really good job at laying out the fundamentals of WorkCover WA. But when it comes to those specific situations, having that expert advice can make all the difference.
It's about having someone in your corner who can really help you navigate all the ins and outs and really advocate for your rights. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about, abstract legal concepts, right? This is about you, our listeners. It's about your rights, your health, your peace of mind.
Exactly. It's about feeling empowered. Knowing what you're entitled to, not being afraid to ask for help if you need it.
Have you ever actually stopped to think, what if something happened to me at work? I know what to do, what I'd be taken care of.
Right. Those aren't always fun questions to think about.
Yo,
But just having this knowledge, this awareness of how WorkCover WA works, it really does put you in a much stronger position.
like that saying, knowledge is power.
Exactly.
But in this case, it's not just power, it's peace of mind too.
It really is. And that's why I think it's so great that Foyle Legal offers that free claim check on their website.
Yeah.
It's like a quick, no pressure way to kind of get a sense of where you stand, what your rights might be in different scenarios.
It's super easy too.
Yeah.
No lawyer jargon or anything like that. You just click through a few questions online, only takes a couple minutes, and it gives you some initial insights.
It's all about making that information accessible, which I think is something we've tried to do with this deep dive too.
Definitely. We've covered a lot of ground here, from the basics of what WorkCover WA is to some of the lesser known details, and then even those curveballs like those law changes that are coming up next year.
Yeah, those changes are a good point to end on, I think. It's a good reminder that this is always evolving.
It is.
What we know today might be different tomorrow.
Exactly.
So you got to stay on top of it.
So if there's one thing you take away from this deep dive, it's stay curious, stay informed.
Yeah. Bookmark that Foyle Legal website. Maybe even give them a shout if you have any specific questions about your situation. Trust me, Your future self will thank you.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, deep divers, stay curious out there.
Thanks for tuning in to Personal Injury Claims explained by Foyle Legal. Remember, this podcast is for informational purposes and isn't legal advice. For advice specific to your situation, visit us at Foyle Legal. And don't forget to subscribe or leave a review.